A very good morning to all of you, and first of all, many thanks to the organizers of Trinity. It's terrific to be back in Sion Hospital. I thought that I was invited because I've been a student of Sion. I was here from 1989 to 1997. I did my MS as well in Sion. And it's truly amazing because it's 25 years now. This is so dark. Can we have a little bit more light here? I need to see whether there are people in the audience or there is no one there. Sure. Exactly. Now I really know that there are some people attending. So it's good to be here because this is a new part of the hospital. I've never seen this auditorium, and it's a privilege and pleasure to be in Sion Hospital. The task on my hand is something which is self-inflicted, in the sense that, is this moving ahead? Do we have something where I can click for the slides to go further? It's not moving. Which one is it working? Yeah, but so the task on hand is excellence in a professional career. And that's not easy, and I don't know whether I'm truly qualified to really speak about this. Unlike pancreatic cancer or gastrointestinal cancer surgery, for which I'm invited all over the world, and I do that work day in and day out, to define something like professional excellence, and the word excellence itself is extremely difficult. So I must thank the entire organizing team here for throwing a true challenge at me, in the sense that I've had to work for this. And for once I was a little bit anxious about coming and talking to a group of young, enthusiastic doctors and would-be doctors in my teaching institution. So when I start on this, I want to try and share with you my thoughts. I believe that excellence is a journey and it's not a destination. And when do the seeds of this thought process come in? First of all, let me welcome my teacher, Dr. Mohan Joshi. Sir, great to see you here. So it's a long time that I've been in Sion, but it's lovely to be back here. So when I start this, I realize that excellence is a journey. It's not a destination. So it's an ongoing process. This was the time in Sion Hospital and LTMGH. And I've mentioned a few names amongst the many. I think the vast majority of you may not be even aware of these names, but Dr. Snehalata Deshmukh was our dean. Dr. Nadkarni was just leaving when I was coming into Sion. Madam Gore was my first boss when it came to working in postgraduate MS surgery. Then, of course, there are all the names. MAJ is Mohan Joshi. SPN is Sushil Nadkarni. VM Deshmukh was there all along with us, and I'm still in touch with him. I never read, those who are in 3rd MBBS will know what is D. Grucci for hematology, and I can be honest with you that I never read D. Grucci because I just made sure that I came and attended the lectures given by Dr. M.B. Agarwal, and that was good enough to understand hematology for exams. Dr. Meena Kumar madam is here. She was my boss again. And we used to call her MAK, and I was talking to some of the residents and they said they were unsure because I think, madam, you have recently I was speaking to 2nd MBBS students and they were talking about you. There was also KR Ramurthy, Dr. Lad, the head of Department of Orthopedic Surgery, Dr. Ravin Thatte. I didn't do any plastic surgery, but RLT was the head of plastic surgery. But I was the outdoor sports secretary of the college. And when I was the outdoor sports secretary at that point in time, he was my mentor. So you are very fortunate to be in a good teaching hospital with good teachers to look up to. And that itself is where the seeds of this concept of excellence, in my perspective, started taking root. Now, residency in 1990s in Sion Hospital was fantastic. The best example to give you for me as an intern in 1993 was the Bombay bomb blasts. We were interns, we were not doctors then, we were enjoying our life in internship. But in a matter of 2 hours, we had more than 100 patients coming in, and it was just great to participate in a way where the surgery OPD was completely laid open for patients who were pouring in. And in 2-3 hours, everything was largely under control. Blood was organized, patients were accommodated, sisters running around, but not running around helter-skelter, running around with enthusiasm and working well in a way that anesthesia teams are available, surgical teams are galvanized. It's not that today is my Monday duty and Wednesday is my another duty, so I'm not there. Everyone was there, apparently as if everything is very well organized. So the word seamless is fashionable now. At that point in time, it just used to happen. So you take some things for granted and you take some things routinely as a matter of practice. So if there was one example which I felt at that point in time without understanding the word excellence was that good results are taken for granted as a matter of routine. It's not only about your IQ and your intelligence and how well qualified you are as a surgeon and how skillfully you took care of the patients with the wounds during that trauma and during the Bombay bomb blast. To give you an example, every night used to be a massive war zone in the trauma ward by and large. So it's not only how well you do the job inside the operation theatre, it's also about the entire patient experience and the final outcome. If that whole process is working well, that process is somewhere tending towards excellence, is what my understanding was. I was fortunate enough after MS to be abroad for some time, for close to 2 years, and I learned quite a few things. There is one gentleman there in the left-hand picture, Dr. Helmut Fries, and in the right-hand picture, Marcus Buchler, very well-known pancreatic researchers and surgeons the world over. And I had a beautiful time in the capital of Switzerland, in Bern. Now, what did I learn there? The next seed that was growing in my mind. The ability to ask questions and develop the capability to try and answer them. I'm not saying that I did not learn the ability to ask questions, but admittedly I must tell you that during my MBBS curriculum, a lot of emphasis then, I don't know how it is now, was also placed on memorizing. So if you have the ability to memorize and if you have the ability to write well and fast, you might score good marks, you might get good grades, and then you are recognized as the star. So yes, in second MBBS to get a distinction in pharmacology, I was pleasantly surprised. But I think I had just read the pharmacology book well, Satoshkar and Bhandarkar, and plus a few other things, and then noted down everything well, obviously. And there you are, Shailesh Shrikhande is the king of Pharmac, which I don't think I was, but anyway, that's how it was. But here the question is, apart from 2 plus 2 being 4, can 2 plus 2 be also 22? Why not? Is it so illogical? Were some of the thoughts that were thrown at me when I went into an academic institution in Switzerland. The other thing was I spent some time in the laboratory. So I worked for about 17 to 20 months purely in a molecular biology laboratory. So I've learned how to do molecular biology in terms of immunohistochemistry, in situ hybridization, isolation of RNA, working with DNA. I was very fortunate then at that stage, soon after MS, to get this opportunity to spend time. It was boring after all the resections and the surgeries in Sion Hospital, and then you are a qualified young surgeon and you want to operate and then suddenly go away from that and spend time in the lab. But I think it was helping me, it is helping me now. I realize it now than what I realized it then. I also learned the art of publishing papers and clearly reasoning the need to do so. Now, my first publication, if you go on PubMed, is in September 2000, where I looked at penetration of fluconazole into necrotic pancreatic tissue. But I take you back to 1997, and this is when Dr. Shirati was our boss, and I got nominated for the Best RMO Nominee Award. There were of course many, and then there was an interview, and I did not get that award. This was fine. Dr. Oak was on the committee, and then they said that you don't have a single publication on your name. So I was working hard, I was studying, I was doing good things, but I just realized that the gentleman who got the award was also a very good person. He had one publication on his name and I did not have any. It did not bother me, but when I look back at it, I prepared this slide and this lecture yesterday. So why should we publish? Why should we publish? There can be egoistic motives. You get academic professional promotion, you may get financial gain, you can improve your knowledge and judgment in situations, people get to know you. Actually, people know me more for my publications than the surgeries that I do, unfortunately, but that's how it is, that's how the world is. Altruistic motives is to truly try and generate and spread knowledge, disseminate knowledge. So as you see, what does a Nobel laureate feel? Actually, you should publish for the pleasure of finding things out and also the fame and fun that goes along with it. So it's very important to understand that altruistic motives is in a way moving towards excellence without realizing it when I started this process of understanding as to why we should publish and whether we should publish or not publish. I am a doctor, I need to treat patients, why do I need to publish? The answers are still not clear to me, but they are much more clear now than before. The other thing was that any basic research activity while I was in Germany was taken as seriously as working in the ward or with patients or while giving an exam. So it's not that when you are with a patient you should be more serious and more focused, and when you do research you take things lightly. You have to do research as seriously as you do your surgical or medical work. The other thing is, we all are excellent, we all are brilliant, we all have good ideas, we talk about it, but if you do not plan those ideas carefully, you do not execute them well, it amounts to nothing. So the best of ideas amount to nothing. You are nobody if your ideas are not implemented. The other thing is, no pain means no gain. I was told clearly by my boss within the first 1 month that I was in Germany. And the message was, you will get as much as you put in. You put in more, you will get more. You put in less, you will get in less. There was no hanky-pankiness, there was no politicking, there was no backstabbing. It's simple. You put in more effort, you get more benefits out of it. So work can be hard. It was hard in Sion, but I'm very grateful for that hard work. It was hard in Switzerland, in the lab, relentless work. I used to be there from 8 o'clock in the morning to sometimes 2 o'clock at night, and then yet back again at 7 o'clock the next day morning. So work may be hard, but if you enjoy what you are doing, it should be ideally like a holiday every day, is what you should realize. So now I introduce the concept of passion in this journey of excellence. Dr. Fries told me one more thing at that point in time. It was frustrating sometimes to be a qualified surgeon at the age of 27, 28. I stood first in the university, me and my colleague Rajiv Palviya. Dr. V.M. Deshmukh was the examiner. It was nice to be first in Bombay, XYZ. Then we had a nice party, and then we are surgeons. And then to not operate for 1.5 years in Switzerland. And at that point in time, he told me about the gunny bag concept. He said that in the life of a GI surgeon, specifically I can speak from my experience, he said that by the age of 40, you must have everything in your gunny bag over your shoulder. Some things will come in sequence, some things will not come in sequence, but they all are adding to your journey to become a better, good GI and an HPB, hepatopancreatobiliary surgeon. So what came in that? It came research, there came publications, there came the ability to ask questions, there came the opportunities to see different surgeries, how different surgeons respond to different situations. Your hard work and your discipline and your time management concepts change. So all of us have the same amount of time. The question is how we value every day when we get up and how we truly utilize the time that we have with us, knowing that we all have the same time. So all this ability to organize, ability to prepare a lecture, ability to talk to people, this ability I must say I never had it. I was scared to be on the stage in school. Not once have I participated in any elocution or any other competition. But when it came to being the outdoor sports secretary in my internship, I just started talking right here in this hospital to first MB and second MB and third MB students. And that's how the process started, that I suddenly grew in confidence that the other candidates also wanted me to talk for them. And I realized that maybe I have an ability to also communicate. But this is all gradually adding to your growth, if I were to speak about my personal experience. So he told me, Dr. Shrikhande, different things will come to you at different times, but take them well when they come to you. So I think that's something important which I wish to share with you. Then was the time to come back to Tata Memorial, for which I'm immensely grateful. And I'll try to focus on three specific time spans. 92 to 2001, I joined in Tata in 2000. I was a clinical fellow in the GI service. And then I became a consultant in November 2003, effectively beginning my term as an assistant professor and surgeon in 2003 Jan onwards. And then we started, I'll share with you something which is not surgically important, because I know that most of the people are not surgeons here, but I try to convey to you the essence of this before we go on to something else. I was a clinical fellow, and Dr. Jagannath was the main surgeon there along with Dr. D'Souza, and they used to maintain some data on some pieces of paper, and some computer systems were coming in there. At that point in time, I could actively participate with him, document retrospective data, and publish a paper with him in a very high impact journal known as the British Journal of Surgery. And we discovered over there that we have problems that in a pancreatic operation, something known as a Whipple's operation or a pancreatic duodenectomy, it's widely regarded as one of the most complex operations in the body. And the problem is you can do a good operation but still have problems when the pancreas, which is joined back to the digestive system, it can leak, because these are two unlike structures which you try to join. Joining stomach to stomach or intestine to intestine is easy, but joining a soft pancreas to an intestine or to a stomach is fraught with problems, as I will show you. So if that problem happened, the chances of a patient dying were high, and they remain even today high if there is a problem. So this operation in my mind was somewhere getting as the Mount Everest or the big time surgery at that point in time when I was a clinical fellow, fresh from my time in Switzerland. And then I looked at the data, and the historic complication rates for this operation, as you can see, you will have 82% people dying, 54, 32, and we are talking up to 1970s, if not in many centers even in 1980s. To the point that there was a debate in the early 1980s in the United States Senate that should we stop doing this operation, because this operation does not really benefit patients and it has got too many complications and mortality. This was discussed in the United States Senate in the late 70s, early 80s. Again, I had the opportunity to spend time in Switzerland again a second time when I became the Warren Fellow, and this time it was time to operate. So the gunny bag was filling up. I was already an independent consultant in Tata. When I had gone there, I had done 17 of these operations on my own. Doing things on your own is extremely important after a particular period of development in the brain, in the mind, and then with hard work. So I was a confident person, but this was a different league that I spent time. The technicalities are not important in this slide, but I tried to learn how they join the pancreas to the intestine. And I said, we are working with world authorities, I should just follow them. I did not use my brain. I did not use my intelligence and did not ask too many questions. I just tried to see a master at work and assisted and operated a lot. Now you look at the first period, which was the British Journal of Surgery publication in 1992, where I told you that we had a fistula rate of 16%. And in 4 years of me becoming a consultant, we did 123 pancreatic anastomosis, myself and Parul Shukla, my colleague. And at that time, the fistula rate became so less. So we suddenly started thinking that we are very good surgeons, but we are not so good surgeons. Dr. Jagannath and Dr. D'Souza were excellent surgeons, mind you. But we certainly knew that our confidence was completely on the upswing. And there is no doubt that the mortality came down from 6.3 to 3.2% for what is obviously a difficult operation. So at this point, let's look at what the European Surgical Academy talks about. It talks about God is in the details. the standardization of surgical procedures as a condition to quality. So now in excellence, I've told you about enjoyment, I've told you about work and hard work. I'm also talking about standardization and moving towards quality. This is all coming together in my opinion. Now, over a period of time, I was in Heidelberg in 2005 and 6, and you can see the number of pancreatic operations that are done by me and my team at the Tata Memorial. Last year, we did 123 Whipple's resections, after which we added 17 non-Whipple's other pancreatic operations. So we do about 140, which would be perhaps the largest number, not just in India, but in the surrounding region as well, outside of perhaps Japan and China. And very few centers in America would also do this many cases. Some of them would, but not many. Heidelberg, of course, is a special place. There is no question. Now, the purpose to tell you is not what I am doing. The purpose is to bring you back to the focus of excellence. So I told you the first period with 16%. Then I showed you the second period of 3.2 from 2003 to 2007. But look now what's happening to us. 16%, 8%, 10.7, 24. At the end of it, it is 16%. Of course, the way you look at fistula, the way you maintain a prospective database and not a retrospective database, the way you work with your institutional review boards in the hospital, transparency in reporting is much more. Your own integrity and honesty is more important. You should be able to talk about your failures and take responsibility for your mistakes. That's important. So when I look at our series, which is now actually coming close to 1,000 Whipple resections, we still have substantial morbidity, we still have mortality, but yes, it's definitely much less, despite much more complex operations that were not being done before 13 years ago when I joined Tata. So our numbers have increased, our complexities have increased, but our mortality has actually decreased. So our ability to deal with problems has also improved a lot. So now, as I start doing more and more, and I start getting invited in the last 5-6 years to talk about this one particular operation, you see this paper from the MD Anderson Cancer Center. It speaks that this operation has an inherent learning curve. It takes about 60 operations for surgeons to do this operation better. Otherwise, you are still in your learning curve if you don't get to do about 60 operations and then you do it well. So we started with simple operations first, and that's why that 3.2% fistula rate. You take simple cases, do them well, standardization, follow what you learnt in Germany and do it on your own. And then comes a period where you start getting more complex patients. You start getting older patients. You start getting patients with comorbidities. You start getting doctors which are being trained who are also changing periodically every 3-4 months. And you still have to take extra efforts to try and maintain the standards as good as you have seen them. And that puts an enormous amount of pressure, but that is the way I have chosen it to be. And if I like it, I should still continue doing it despite the pressure. So it's all about teamwork. It's not just about one individual and my ability to learn in Germany and do good skillful surgery. This is what you need to incorporate in your mind if you are moving in the process of excellence. Now, touching upon quality, this is Dr. Deming, the father of modern quality movement. Improvement in quality leads to less costs. This is something which we should be aware of. Better quality services are those which are affordable and available. So it also depends on how you define quality is the question that you need to ask in whatever you choose to do. And it's not important that I get invited to Trinity and get invited to some conference to tell you how good we do. When nobody is watching, when you are just doing your work day in and day out in your hospital with your individual patients, you need to do it well every single day for every single patient, rich or poor, related or not related. That takes a lot of effort. But then this is what the father of the automobile industry said. Quality outcome is doing it right when nobody is watching. You just do it because you want to do it. You're not doing it so that you all come here and see me do it. I'm doing it because I want to do it. So excellence is judged by end result analysis. And who says this? This is what Dr. Ernest Codman said in 1901, every hospital should follow every patient long enough to determine whether or not the treatment has been successful and then to inquire, if not, why not? So that's the important question. So audit of the ultimate outcomes in every aspect needs to be looked at rather than just the audit of the structure. So you need to see outcomes and you need to define your outcomes to understand and keep on self-introspecting all the time. So we have a weekly audit meeting on a Friday morning in my team, and we have a monthly audit meeting which is presented to the rest of the department every month, day in and day out. So for me to prepare the annual report at the end of the year is no more difficult. None of these systems were in place, but it's far more organized now. We published our work of 500 Whipple resections, the same operation I spoke to you about in the last 10 minutes. And we feel it's because of increasing experience, standardization, teamwork, and a consistent desire and effort towards constant refinement. Mind you, I still lose 3 or 4 patients out of 100 when I do this operation. So the work still needs to be done to try and get better and better. Same thing with radical gastrectomy. We started doing it in a D2 gastrectomy, getting all the lymph nodes off. Not important for you just now, but it's also a complex operation. And we published this work way back in 2006 about the low morbidity and mortality of what we did at Tata Hospital. Now, today that series comes to close to 1,000 gastrectomies. And now I can tell you with confidence that we know that we have quality. We are looking at our leak rates. We know what our leak rate is. We know the type of operations that we do. We know the number of median lymph nodes as well as the mean lymph nodes that we removed from what we removed in the initial part. And we know that our mortality is extremely low with excellent outcomes, including very acceptable mortality. So you audit yourself and then you share and disseminate this knowledge is a very basic, simple way of trying to understand where you go. So excellence is improvement, but I don't want you to get a feeling that I'm only talking about perfection, because excellence is improvement, not perfection. Excellence is a direction and not a destination, as I told you. So in character, in manners, in style, in all things, we should try and simplify things as much as we can in our working environment. So I don't wish to convey again a message that you need to be in Germany and you need to be in Tata and then excellence is possible. No, you can be wherever you are in whatever your circumstances, but the philosophy of excellence will always enable you to compete with your own self and get better and experience inner growth, not compete with others and think that because he or she is less inferior or more superior and how am I? That is completely not to be considered as I give you this oration. I have a little problem with this. It doesn't work very easily. So what is an ideal operation as a surgeon? An ideal operation is one which is safe, which is effective, it is durable, simple to learn, simple to perform, and simple to teach. Let's take an example, say, of a sebaceous cyst removal or an oroplasty or something like this. Safe, effective, durable, simple to learn, perform, and teach. But then we are also talking of difficult operations or difficult challenges in life, not just in surgery. So this philosophy, if you keep on doing it, you will realize that this philosophy can also be applied to complex operations or tasks over time, thus making complex tasks very simple. You divide the same complexity into 5 different things or 6 different things, and you will suddenly realize that you can achieve extremely difficult tasks if you do it in a systematic fashion, first in the brain, then work hard, and then put it into practice with discipline. So this is Leander Pace. And Leander Pace, I've had the opportunity to know him a little bit, and we exchange some messages once in a while. I was on a flight with him and we had a long chat. So he had sent this SMS to me that, "Hi doc, it takes 20 years of hard work to become an overnight star. So what you see in the newspapers is the overnight star that happens. But what you miss is that obviously there is a lot of effort that goes behind it, and this is something which we as doctors should appreciate. It's a lot of hard work, but you should enjoy the hard work and then it is fine. Now, I spoke to you about the seeds and this journey in Tata Hospital. Now I take you back to the seeds even before I came to Sion Hospital, and that was my cricketing days. Give me a choice to think about another profession in my next life. I think I'll most probably take medicine, but cricket and being a pilot would contest very badly in my brain. But I think it would be medicine. But did I learn something from cricket in my earlier days? I played a lot of cricket. I played for Bombay under 15, under 17. I played a lot. And this was something which is written in my house in the 1980s, given to us by somebody my father knew well. And it says that nothing in the world can take the place of determination. Talent will not. The world is full of unsuccessful men with talent. I'm sorry, I should also say women, not that someone goes against me here. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. So this used to help me when it came to cricket, because at that time the only thing I could see was cricket and the passion was cricket. Everything else was immaterial and not important in life. This is what it was in my days of 80. You know this man well. So I played a lot of my cricket for 4 years with him. I can't say he's a friend, but I can certainly say he's a good acquaintance. And it's been a pleasure to play with him and also know him a little bit. But we see this, we see the end result, we see the end product. But what you don't see is that pursuit of excellence demands commitment of time and efforts for constant improvement. So now I'm bringing you to sacrifice time and improvement with your own self. When you have conquered the whole world, you still want to keep on doing it. So that's known as self-motivation. He doesn't need to do this to make more money, to get more fame, to get more name. He needs, because what did he do in the previous picture? He scored a double century in a one-day international, which was unheard of in 39 years of this game at an international level, a game which has become more and more competitive, more and more scrutinized, the most scrutinized cricketer in the world, and I can tell you as a semi-professional cricketer, was Sachin Tendulkar, and has remained one till date. So in such a situation, this is what he has defined, that it is commitment to time and efforts for constant improvement, notwithstanding his injuries, notwithstanding any other problems around him. Pursuit of money, fame and power carries a risk of failure. There is no risk in pursuit of excellence. You do it because you enjoy it. It is not perfection. You try to do it better and better, but it's not perfection. In fact, if we try to just stick to the perfection bit, we run the risk of becoming neurotic about it, losing our focus, and very often underachieving if you are just a perfectionist. I wrote a book in 2007 on surgery for pancreatic tumors, and this is what I put in the dedication. One is to our patients, and the second is what our famous saint, Santa Tukaram, said, that to make the impossible possible requires constant study and practice, constant, forever. It's an ongoing process again. So what did I learn as a cricketer? No two innings are the same. In cricket, you can get a 0 and you can score a century soon after. In surgery, you are as good as your last operations. I do 99 Whipple operations well. I've had patches of Whipples being done where I've not had a mortality for 120 patients in a row. And then in the following 40 patients, I've had 3 mortalities. And it just boils down to 0. So, you just have to accept that in surgery, there is no first innings and second innings. There is no bad form and good form. There is no good mood and bad mood. You are the fortunate one who has been selected by the patient who has given his or her life in your hands, and you willingly deliver your best day in and day out. So this is where actually my cricketing background helps me today, and I use this cricketing language which many of my residents are new to, but most of them also understand since cricket is common here. So the cricket which I pursued in my school with passion, I've been able to transfer some of that passion into my surgery, and that's also helping me in my journey of excellence. The other bit of cricket was that I played a very bad shot in 1986 in a cricket match when my school was on a threshold of a major tournament victory. We ultimately won that match, and we ultimately won the tournament only for the second time after Sanjay Manjrekar won the shield for my school, that is IES English Medium. And at that time, I threw my wicket away to a bad shot. And I was extremely depressed to get up the next day morning and go and see whether we are going to win the match or not. I was not going to play. I was already out the evening before. And I did not want to go almost. And that's when, that was the day that the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded and crashed. I think 21st Jan 1986. That was the day I had to go against St. Mary's, and we won that match finally. But that's when my father told me something in the morning. He saw me that I was depressed. I was in 10th standard, and I was still playing cricket. I was not bothered about 10th standard. So we used to get holidays in the school. This was a school which supported sports as much as studies. So just to tell you that we were the lucky guys. The classes were for 8 periods. And after 6 periods, the cricketing guys used to walk out of the class with all the teachers looking in astonishment. But we used to just walk out saying that we have to go for practice. So it was enjoyable then. He told me, wisdom does not mean not making a mistake. It means not making the same mistake twice. So we will do mistakes in our studies. We will do mistakes in our surgeries. We will do mistakes in our profession with our patients, not by intent, but we are also human beings. But the important thing is to analyze, introspect, be conscious about it, and not repeat the same damn mistake again. That's a disaster. That's unacceptable. So that's something which you need to learn. Why did Sachin succeed? Because he rarely repeated the same mistakes twice. That's the message that I wish to convey to you. Can we have a new battery in this perhaps? Okay. Now this is what Pele says. I don't want you to feel that excellence means success. Excellence is not success, but success may often be a byproduct of your excellence or your desire to excel. So what does Pele say? That success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrificing, and most of all, love of what you are doing or learning to do. So who is saying this? A man who is widely regarded as the best footballer of all time. Now excellence is a decision which is practiced daily to the point of a habit. So unless you do everyday things well, as simple as getting up on time, setting your bed in order, wearing the appropriate clothes as a doctor, being nice to everybody around you, and having this discipline day in and day out, you're not going to be in that process. So discipline also comes in a big way. Once I was doing an operation with my father, and I was assisting him for a lateral pancreaticojejunostomy. I was already a qualified surgeon, and he was 68 years of age, 69. And I thought that I would have done the operation quickly and finished it. But it was his patient. He never allowed me to operate on his patients. I had arguments with him on that, but that's also ethics, and I respect him for that today. And I was assisting him, and I said, why are you doing all this so meticulously? And this can be done well. But he wanted to do some things in a specific particular way, and that's when he said that unless you sweat in peacetime, you will bleed in wartime. So the important thing is you do your daily jobs in an extraordinary way. The chances are that you will experience inner growth, and you might be on the path to excellence. Another cricketer, Rahul Dravid. Am I exceeding time? How many minutes do I have more? Am I fine with time? Sure, I'm not going to take too much. I hope... How do I... From here?
Yeah, if you just move this side.
Okay, so I look there and I do this. Okay, fine.
Sorry.
No problem. So it's okay, I'm doing well. So what is patience? When I'm requested to speak to youngsters, I like talking about this phase of my life and liken it to a fascinating plant, the Chinese bamboo. You can take a Chinese bamboo seed and plant it in the ground, water and nurture the seed for an entire year, and not even a single sprout. In fact, you will not see a sprout for 5 years. But suddenly, a tiny shoot will spring from the ground, and over the next 6 weeks, it's 90 feet tall. It can grow as fast as 39 inches every 24 hours. You can literally watch the plant grow. What was the plant doing during these 5 years? Seemingly dormant, it was growing its roots. For 5 full years, it was preparing itself for rapid, full growth. Without this root structure, the plant simply couldn't support itself for its future, if I may say, exploding growth. Some would say the plant grew 90 feet in 6 weeks. I would say it grew 90 feet in 5 years and 6 feet. So this is what 6 weeks is. This is what I want the younger members, I'm also young, but to appreciate this. So this is the iceberg illusion. Success is what the world sees, but what people don't see is the dedication, the focus, the goal, the hard work, the good habits, the disappointments, the sacrifice, the failures, the persistence, the doubts, the negativism, so many things which will all go into that, and this is also a part of the process. I'm coming towards the end of my oration, but this is a unique picture. This is a picture of Charlie Chaplin and Mahatma Gandhi. So I will introduce one more thought process, and that is about technology. Excellence, I told you, is not success. I told you what goes into it. But technology is the way forward. Everything is technology now, completely different from what it was 5 years ago, and so different when I was in Sion 20 years ago and 25 years ago. So here you see, what did Charlie Chaplin say? He said that man is an animal with primary instincts of survival. Consequently, his ingenuity has developed first. See how man is, or woman, and his soul afterwards. The progress of science is far ahead of man's ethical behavior and social responsibility. So as they say that we have technology, we have a lot of so-called progress. That technology is designed by the intelligent man, and you should always differentiate between what is technology and what is a gimmick. So as a doctor, let me tell you that if you have technology which is going to be helping the patient, it is fantastic, no question. Objective benefit to the patient given by modern technology. Let me give a simple example of antibiotics or anti-tubercular treatment. Fantastic, real progress of technology. And then the other question is that it doesn't help the patient, but it helps the doctor. And one of the examples that I can give just now, as I get trained on the robot for the last year and a half, we have the robotic surgery at Tata Memorial. I operate on the robot once or twice a month. It's great technology. It is astonishing technology, devised as an outcome of the Star Wars program in America. But after 9/11, they suddenly realized that Star Wars is on the ground and not coming from elsewhere. Then they had to dump the technology somewhere, and then they had to use it. And then came the renaissance of robotic technology with your wrist movements and whatnot. So it's amazing technology. It makes my life easy. Does it really benefit the patient? Barring for a few surgeries like prostatectomy and some cardiac surgeries, we do not know as yet. So it's a technology in evolution, but it's a technology which is an asset to the surgeon today. It is not an asset to the patient today, is what the next part is. And the third part is, if it is not benefiting the patient, and if it is not an asset to you also, even then we are surrounded by enormous amount of technology around us, and then be clear that this technology is a gimmick and nothing else. So that ability to decipher as we go along is important, because look at what these people are saying. The progress of science is far ahead of man's ethical behavior and social responsibility. So you need to be also having a social responsibility and some ethics in place when it comes to talking about excellence. Another example And then it is Mahatma Gandhi who said that before you do anything, stop and recall the face of the poorest, most helpless, destitute person you have seen and ask yourself, is what I am about to do, is it really going to help him? We are very fortunate in Sion Hospital, in Tata Hospital, that we get to learn great things and we are able to use it on people who really would benefit by it, who have no other place to go, and you can do an enormous amount of good for them. So we are extremely fortunate to get this opportunity. But this is what we should always keep at the back of our mind as we continue our journey in professional career. At this point in time, I should tell you that Edmund Hillary, I'll touch upon this a little bit later to you. Coming back to the Whipple's operation towards the end of my talk, this operation was first done in 1898 by Cordvilla. And he was from Italy. He first performed this operation then, but he never published his procedure and achieved prominence as an orthopedic surgeon describing transcalcaneal bone traction. This operation, about which I spoke with so much of passion and showed you numbers and figures and publications, blah, 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 was done first in 1898, over 100 years ago. Then it got documented well in 1934 and got named after this surgeon from New York, from the Memorial Sloan Kettering. When it got published in the Annals of Surgery, Alan Oldfather Whipple, he reported these three first operations to the American Surgical Association, and they discussed this operation. So this operation has been done for a long time. So the important thing here is that Cordvilla did it, now I have to put it there, okay. So he did it in 1893, Koch did it in 1909 in Germany, and then Whipple did it 3 times consecutively and published it, and it got to be known as a Whipple's operation. So the important thing today is that I told you that we lose 3 or 4 patients when we do 100 operations, if I look at the average and the median. So it's important that you stay humble. You are no big surgeon. You are just as good as your last operation. Then you are 0. Back again, fresh innings, again you need to hit a century. Now this doesn't happen when you do it alone. This is our disease management group at the Tata Memorial Hospital, where we have surgeons, we have medical oncologists, we have radiation oncologists, we have nuclear medicine specialists, we have interventional radiologists, we have pathologists, we have nutritionists, we have stoma clinic specialists. All these together contribute for a good ultimate outcome. It doesn't happen with some surgery and some good skills and a job well done. That's not the meaning of excellence. So this is my last slide, ladies and gentlemen. Excellence involves ethics. Excellence means trying to simplify and keeping things simple as much as you can. It means that you consistently try to grow yourself and try to improve, because there is no end to improvement in this world. There is no end. But what you do, you need to be honest to yourself, have the integrity, document it well, audit it regularly, and if there is something worthwhile for altruistic motives, I told you then publish it and tell the world what it is. Persistence and patience, I told you that, whether it's Leander Pace or Rahul Dravid or whatever it is, that's extremely important, and this is also in excellence. The wisdom and the gratefulness. If you are grateful to life and if you are grateful for the opportunities that you get, you will always be able to do more and more, hopefully in a meaningful way. And here I stopped to tell you about Edmund Hillary, which I wanted to tell you in the previous slide of Charlie Chaplin and Mahatma Gandhi, that he climbed Mount Everest in 1953, in May 1953, with Tenzing Norgay. Now, he was asked that how come he did not take a photograph when he was on top of Mount Everest. So he said, the thought did not cross my mind. And today the first thing that you get to see is everybody is putting up everything on Facebook about where I went the evening before. And I don't know what this world is. I'm not so old, but we have to be a little bit careful about life when we think about it. So here was a man who went to Mount Everest, climbed it, was the first man to do it. He said, initially, why did you want to go to the mountains? He said, I wanted to go there because they are there. for the pleasure and for the fun of it. He ended up conquering it is a different story. He not only conquered it, afterwards as he started getting older, he ensured that the younger people were helped, trained, mentored to do it because he could not do it. But the best part was he developed such an association with the Himalayas that he built more than 28 schools, built a number of clinics, built a number of hospitals in the entire region. Now this behavior is also excellence, is what I wish to convey to you. The other thing is, every day you don't have to do some heroic and some magnificent, and Sachin Tendulkar can't hit a double century every day. You don't need to do that. But whatever you do every day, do the ordinary things in an extraordinary way. That's also excellence. Hopefully you lead by example and you inspire others so that you automatically command the respect. Demanding respect has no meaning in life. You should be a part of a process where extraordinary process or performance is just taken for granted. Like I saw, didn't realize then and didn't use the fancy word excellence, but like I saw and experienced firsthand when I was in Sion Hospital all along. And the other part is, of course, enjoy this journey, as Pele has said. This is Tata Memorial Hospital. Those who are going to become doctors or surgeons or medical oncologists or interested in cancer care or just interested in looking at another institution which is close by, I'm sure that you will be there and we would look forward to having you there. All this work that I presented is only because of this place, not because of me. I've been fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time. Last but the least, a big thanks to all of you, because it was one lecture that I was looking forward to. Not that I don't look forward to other lectures, but there are too many of those, and this lecture you all made me really work very hard. And to have madam here and to have madam here again and sir, it's a great pleasure and privilege. I see Dr. Geeta, she used to be an anesthetist when I used to do the septic OT over here, and she used to get worried because I used to many a times work without gloves on patients with HIV and things like that. So far I'm okay. Okay, thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful, informative session. May I request Dr. Mohan Joshi, sir, Professor of Department of Surgery, to felicitate Dr. Shrikhande and to say a few words.
We are very privileged and proud to felicitate our own undergraduate and postgraduate student of Department of Surgery, Dr. Shailesh Shrikhande. I remember that he was a very soft-spoken student, extremely hardworking and very sincere and highly focused. In internship days, he has spent few months in Mayo Clinic, and the moment he passed his MS, he was in one of the global excellence center in the world, and that is with Marcus Buchler. Dr. Shailesh had, the ability and his knack to present and write articles from his student days. And we were writing a chapter on tropical pancreatitis. There was a request from the London group of publication, Westminster Publication Company, and we were working together, and somehow with my laziness I was unable to prepare the manuscript. We discussed several times and a deadline came that otherwise your chapter will not be published. And then eventually I told Shailesh that now you have to help me out actively, and you will not believe that in less than 5 days time he finished the manuscript publication and gave it to me, the hard copy. Then we edited and the chapter was published in a very big book, Tropical Surgery, and the publication of that was done in Egypt, in WHO Center of Egypt. So Shailesh has been very hardworking, A year ago, I told his father that Dr. Shrikhande, who is our senior professor of surgery, had operated the President of India, was President of Hepatobiliary Pancreatic Association way back, an extremely well-known surgeon. I told Professor Shrikhande way back that your son is Baap se beta savai, and today with his illuminating lecture, I tell you that he has surpassed all his teachers. It's my great pleasure to welcome our own student and felicitate him.